Welcome or welcome back to my channel for another episode of What's New with Human Design, my weekly transit report. Today is January 17th, 2022, and yesterday on Sunday, January 16th, the Sun moved into the gate 60 and the Earth moved into the gate 56. Now, I want to talk to you about these two gates today, and then I also want to talk to you about something that was very interesting that is happening with Mercury. Started back in December, is going to go through February, and so we've got a major theme that is starting right now with the Sun in the 60 and where the Sun is going to progress over the next few weeks and what's happening with Mercury also. So stay tuned for that. The gate 60 is on the root center, and the root center is our grounding. It's the place where we connect with the earth, and it has to do with the energy for getting things done. It is associated with the adrenal glands and with adrenaline. And it is also has a cycle to it, or a pulse to it. It's known as kind of an on-off pulse, which I think is related to the energy of the earth, because the earth has a magnetic field that also pulses. And so there's cycles that the earth has and that I think we also experience. The gate 60 is also in the knowing circuit, which is part of individual circuitry. It's the largest subcircuit in the chart. It's big. And I want to talk a little bit about how the energy moving through the knowing circuit works. So the knowing circuit is evolutionary energy. The knowing circuit is plugged directly into superconsciousness, and downloads of complete ideas or images or concepts can come right in through that knowing circuit. And that's what's happening up here and coming down and moving out through the sides of the body and then coming back up, through the root center. And so the 60 is the place where the energy comes together, and then it's going to come up through that central channel. So there's been a lot of exploring of intuitive knowledge that has been happening, coming in through that knowing circuit and how it's been moving, and then it's coming up through that 60. And in traditional human design, it's known as acceptance, and in quantum human design, it's known as conservation. And so part of the role of the gate 60 is to be looking at what is useful of this mutative energy, right? Because so many ideas coming in, it may not be the right time for them. They may just be crazy ideas that will never be good to come into fruition. And so the 60 is partly looking through what's coming in to see, is this really something that we want to give our energy to, that we want to get behind? So it's a little bit of a conservative energy in that way. It is accepting what's coming through. And it is this, like I said, it's like this place where this energy comes together, comes up through the pelvic floor, right? Up into the pelvis, and then it's going to be moving up through that central channel. And so there is this sense of, what is useful here? What is it that we're going to be taking with us? And because it's in that root center, it's also connected to the earth. It's part of our embodiment, if you will. It has to do with our humanity and our being in this physical form. And so that 60 is really looking at what is it that's going to be useful for us. Now, the disempowered expression of the 60 is not wanting to have any change, just feeling like change is a bad idea. We want to keep things the way that they are. I don't want any mutation going on. We're just going to keep things the same. You probably know people like this in your life. The shadow expression of it is wanting to allow in change that's only good for me, for me, my family, my tribe, right? My people. I want that kind of change, but I'm not looking at, positive change for everyone. Whereas the more awakened aspect would be like, yes, this is change that is going to help move along the evolution of the individual and of the community and of the collective. even though it's not collective energy, it's not tribal energy, it's individual energy. Still, what we're looking for here is this mutation helpful, and is it helpful for everyone? And that kind of discernment is the awakened aspect, or the positive aspect of this gate 60. Now, it's paired with the earth being in the gate 56, which is on the throat center, okay, which is the activation center in quantum human design. It's obviously the place of expression, right? We know that this is about expression, partly because of the talking energy, right? And it's in the sensing circuit, which is all about experience. It's about living through the body. It's about our life experience. It's about what we can sense ourselves, it's right brain energy. So it's creative, it's abstract. It is connected to the all that is. It is connected to oneness. It has the sense of the interconnectedness of life. It's boundaryless in a way. It has a kind of infinite quality to it, the sensing circuit does. It's been renamed the miracle circuit in quantum human design because there's miraculous things that happen through this circuitry. And so the 56 is the final expression of that circuit, and it's known as a storytelling gate. In traditional human design, it's known as the storyteller. And in quantum human design, it's known as expansion. So it is this quality of allowing this expansive energy of the right brain to be able to come out and express itself. And I love that it's a storytelling gate, that this idea that we're going to use our creativity and understanding of narrative, because humanity has always learned and recorded and remembered through stories. It's the thing that we latch onto. Like if you go and hear somebody talk and they tell you a great story, you may remember that great story 10 years later, and you might not remember anything else that person said, right? Think about that. So storytelling is really, really vital in that way. So here we've got this invitation to be grounding ourselves in our ability to express, to tell the story of, to expand into new possibilities that are coming in from that right brain and moving over to the left side of the body and coming up out through that 56. And so we're grounding ourselves in the possibility that provides, right? I mean, I think that Karen Curry Parker renamed it expansion because it is about possibility, and the possibility that new narratives, new stories that we're telling during this time when we deeply need new stories. We need to be moving out of the old paradigm that is no longer working for any of us, really. I mean, it's bringing us to the end of ecological disaster, so it's really not working for anybody. And so we need new stories. We need to understand what the possibility is about who we can be. Then we've got this kind of conservative energy that the sun is in that's going, is that useful or not? Is that something that we want to get behind? Is that a story that we really want to tell? So it's an interesting way that these two are working together, and the sun is lighting up that ability to discern what is useful and what isn't. What mutation do we want to send on? And it's open to the possibility that change is really positive, really vital for us. And the 56 is saying, heck yeah, it sure is. Take a look at this story. How about this one? How about that one? So going forward, and during this transit, I invite you to play around with the way that these two energies might talk to each other as if they were characters, because they kind of are characters, or they're archetypes, and see what they might come up with in your own life, in the life of your family, the life of the people that you spend your time with, and then also looking out into the collective. The 56 is collective energy, whereas the 60 is individual energy. So they do have a little bit of a different agenda, a little bit of a different priority there, but they can dance and work together because we do actually need both of them. Interestingly enough, Pluto moved out of the gate 61, where he's been for months and months and months, into the gate 60 on the 15th, on Saturday. And so now we have the god of the underworld also lighting up the gate 60. Very interesting, right? So there's a lot of energy that is moving through that gate right now. And Pluto is always asking us, like, what is it that we need to drop away and let go let it go into its death process so that something else can be reborn, right? Pluto is the god of the underworld, and death and rebirth is his mantra, right? And so it's so much about what do we need to let go of so that we can have the freshness to be reborn. And this is kind of the phoenix energy, right? That's what Pluto's about. So this is in the 60 now. So it's interesting because the 60 is saying, what's of use? What change do we want to hold on to? And what do we want to let go of? What isn't of use to us? So Pluto is adding a little bit of extra energy to that. And Pluto's going to be there for quite a while because Pluto stays in gates for quite some time. Now, we're used to paying attention to Mercury when Mercury goes retrograde. Well, in fact, Mercury did just go retrograde on the 14th, and he's going to be there for 3 weeks. So here we are in Mercury retrograde. But there's also something else really interesting going on. Take a look at this image here, because you'll see that Mercury in his journey over this period from December 12th to February 26th, he's going back and forth between the 61, the 60, the 41, and the 19. And he's doing this for 2.5 months. So it's quite some time. So whenever a planet is doing that, right, they're moving into the gates, they're moving back retrograde, they're moving forward, they're moving back, right? Planets do that. Then it means that they're really shining the light on those gates. Now, the interesting thing is right now, as I mentioned earlier, the sun is in the gate 60, right? Then it's going to move into the gate 41. Then it's going to move into the gate 19. So the sun is moving on that same 3 gates over the next few weeks. And Mercury is also going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. What does this mean? Well, for one thing, the 60, the 41, and the 19 are all on the root center. So we're getting a lot of highlighting on this root center. Mercury is about communication. And so we've got this communication about what's going on in our root center, which again is our relationship to the earth. And one has to do with our mutation, right? Are we accepting the mutation? Are we deciding not to? We're making decisions about that, right? Okay. The gate 41, which is where the sun is going to go on Saturday. I'm going to go do a whole nother video on that for you that'll come out on Thursday. The 41 is known as the gate of fantasy in traditional human design, or imagination in quantum human design. And the 41 is, according to the story of human design, the 41 has packed into it all of the potential for all of human experience. In traditional human design, Ra would talk about it being it's condensed, it's contracted, because it's got so much potential in it. And it's why it's the beginning of the human design new year. And like I said, I'll do another video about that. So we've got that, but it has to do with our experience in our body. It has to do with our human experience and our ability to imagine that human experience the way that we want it to be, rather than giving our imagination over to stories of, apocalypse or Armageddon or whatever, but rather to harness that power of our imagination in that creative circuit. It's also in the sensing circuit to be able to create what we want. And then the 19 is the super sensitive gate that is also about intimacy, and it's a tribal energy. And it has so much to do with our sensitivity. Many highly sensitive people have this gate defined. My child has this gate defined, and they are very sensitive. And so there is this quality of being able to be attuned to what is going on. And this can be overwhelming for some people who haven't learned how to work with their energy yet, but it can be a superpower when you know how to be able to have good boundaries and to be able to have command over your own energy, so that you're not thrown around by what's happening around you. Okay, so that is also something that's about our relationship to the earth and our relationship to each other, because this is a tribal energy. And it's all located here on the root center. And Mercury is just going to be going back and forth. There's a little break there going into the 61, popping up into the top of the head with the beginning of the knowing circuit. But mostly we're down in that root center and just going back and forth over these gates and wanting to give expression to our sensitivity, to our ability to connect to the earth, to know what our relationship with the earth is all about, to use our imagination to give voice to new possibilities and new stories and new visions of what can come into being when we utilize that. And then knowing that, yes, change is positive. We are wanting to give energy to positive change and to be able, we hope, to stop some of the change that's happening that is not so positive. Like the destruction of our ecosystem. That's a change we don't want, a mutation we don't want, right? So we want to be able to pull that one back, whereas we can move forward with alternate energy sources and ways of creating food that don't involve poisons and devastating the land and so on, right? There's so many different aspects of what it is that we can be giving our energy to, what we can be imagining, and then we can be giving voice to that. So I want to just drop that in for you. If that inspires you in some way, you can go look up those gates, find out more about them. I'll be talking about each one of them in each of the new transit reports, because the sun's going to be moving through each of them these next few weeks. So you can get them from me there. But I also just want you to be thinking about what your relationship is to the earth and what do you want to give voice to that has to do with that. Because Mercury is lighting that up, and he's going to be saying, what is it that you want to talk about? What is it that you think it needs to be given voice to? And maybe it's giving a voice to the earth herself, right? What would the earth say about change and positive change? What would be her fantasy about what could be possible, right? What would be her sense of sensitivity and her desire for intimacy and relationship? But it has to be a relationship that honors her sensitivity and her needs, right? Can you imagine giving voice to the earth in that way? Pretty provocative, isn't it? I'm tapping into my gate 39, which is also on the root center. All right, I will leave you for that thought for this week. All right, many blessings, much love. Bye for now.